Hello and welcome to The Cast of Us, a podcast dedicated to The Last of Us on HBO and brought to you by the Fan Critical Podcast Network. We are back very shortly after our hot take. We've literally had a sleep, we've slept on it, and we're back with our deep dive review, full review and spoiler cast of The Last of Us Episode 3, titled Long, Long Time. Now, joining me this week, I'm very happy to say we have a full clan of survivors. Firstly, a man who genuinely I could see as a prepper of sorts, but mainly stockpiling booze or craft beers, but whose survivalist skills will leave much to be desired. It's John.
You all right, mate? Cheers for that.
It's all right. Don't worry about it.
Take
But
it,
you would hoard all of the beers. And don't worry, listeners, we said last week that he went missing, but we did send out a hunting party, and lost little meek Gareth was found and is now being fed canned goods to build his strength back up. Hello, Gareth.
I'll make the point again. It was your fault that I wasn't here last week. So,
Well,
none of that. Thanks.
Listeners can decide what they want to believe of that, Gareth. We've just had to rescue you again from the wilderness. Just getting sick of it, to be honest with you.
Survivor.
All right, I think it's time we deep dive into this episode.
Literally, the last thing I did last night was talk about this show.
Yeah.
And now I'm up at stupid o'clock. It's the first thing I'm talking about today.
Yeah, that's right.
I might skip this week, actually.
Yeah, right, see you later, mate.
Skipping it.
So yeah,
See ya.
no, you're right, Gareth. The last thing we did do before we went to bed was this. But
Oh.
we're back.
Is it definitely the last thing you did before you went to bed?
Well, you calm down over there, John. You're trying to get a little peek into my private life. Jesus.
Yes.
Stop peeking.
Speaking of John, he wasn't in the hot take. And I am fascinated to hear what he has to say about this episode. The episode 3 is titled Long, Long Time. Can you please give us your thoughts on the episode and, of course, your delicious blueberry score?
Should we go straight in with a bloob?
You do what you need to do, mate. It's your roller coaster.
Do it.
I think I'm going to upset both of you, actually.
Boo.
I can never tell if he's serious when he says this.
Go on,
Yeah,
look
right.
at you all worried.
No,
Here we go.
I can never tell if he's serious. I'm always like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
look at his little face on the camera, and I'm looking at him. He's doing that Simon Cowell thing. I think he's doing the Simon Cowell thing.
What, because I'm not wearing any trousers? No, that's only alleged with Simon Cowell. Don't sue us.
But it's proven with you.
Yeah. Fact. Look, I mean, it's a 5 bloob episode, isn't it? I think. But again, like, and I know both of you are going to score it 5 bloob.
Spoiler.
You should go back and be embarrassed at some of the 5s that you gave House of the Dragon.
I knew this
Honestly.
was coming. I knew this was coming.
Yeah.
He loves John just can never just say it's a 5
It's not
blue
really.
episode.
Well, it's not really with
I had a
Gaz.
great
It's
time.
mainly you, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know,
He always likes to have a dig.
Yeah. It's like, oh, this was a wonderful commute into work today. 5 bloobs. Oh, what's wrong with you?
Joke's on you. I work from home these days.
It's a 5 bloob episode. I don't know if I enjoyed it though. Weird, right?
That is weird.
It drained me. It was. I know. Quite a lot of the takes from this episode are that it's a happy episode, isn't it? It isn't
way,
really.
Isn't it?
Well,
It worries me for the rest of the season for you, John. I'm telling you now, this is the happiest it's going to get, mate.
No, I get that. If if their relationship had taken place over 7 seasons, then maybe I'll be a bit like, do you know what? They've had some time. It's one episode, man. I'll tell you what I'll compare it to, and this might be a spoiler for people that haven't seen the movie Up. But, I mean, the first 10 minutes of Up is... I think it's beautiful. Yeah. It's probably like the best 10 minutes of animation, or however long it is, of animation that Pixar have done. But, you know, I'm not sitting there going, oh, that 10 minutes was brilliant, I'll watch that again. No, it's sad, isn't it?
Rest of the film's good, though, isn't it?
Yeah, the rest of the film,
Rest of the film's
brilliant.
good, though, isn't it?
I mean, but that is the peak, though. That is like, you know, that's art. That's cinema, as Scorsese would say, or as the meme would say.
But think about why that's sad. Think about why it's sad. That I don't want to spoil Up, so I'm not going to say specifically. But there's a very key thing in Up that's very different to the ending of this episode. Or sorry, not the ending of this episode. The ending of Bill and Frank's story that Up doesn't have. That makes this a complete circle of a story. You know?
Yeah. No, I get that. But, you know, all right, well, let's put it this way. It's not a barrel of laughs, this episode. You know, I wasn't pissing myself halfway through. I wasn't going, wee, what a fun episode. This is the episode. Yeah, this is the episode where they go to Thorpe Park or Alton Towers, either one, whoever wants to send us free tickets. Dream World, I think they call it in Australia, maybe. You know, so it's
Gold Coast, if you're ever visiting.
Yeah, in the Gold Coast, yeah. So, I mean, it's just do you know what? It's a wonderful episode. How about that? Yep.
Nice.
Lovely.
Stick that on
Lovely
a poster.
description, John.
And also, I'll tell you what it has done for me. I've always been fairly adamant that I'd blow my brains out if there was a zombie apocalypse, because I'm just like, I can't be arsed with any of this.
Yep.
But,
Yep.
I mean, that bit where he's claimed his little town.
Yeah.
And I was mainly looking at the alcohol that he was stockpiling and thinking that would be good fun, actually. What a way to go that would be.
Yeah.
So no, maybe I'll do that instead. Maybe
There's hope for John yet.
Yeah, maybe I'd hole up I'd probably have to do it when I go to Australia, because it's not quite the same in the UK. But yeah, maybe I'd hole up in a town somewhere and just wait for some guy to fall in a trap, and they'd be like, all right, well, we're in love now. And he'd be like, what do you mean? Can you let me out of it, please?
Have you not seen Last of Us episode 3, or because this is happening?
No, I haven't. I've come here to steal all your stuff. All right, okay. Well, put your pants back on. So yeah, it's a wonderful episode, and one that genuinely choked me up a couple of times. It was certainly not. It's not what I was expecting from a Nick Offerman performance.
No.
Yeah, but it's brilliant. So yeah, 5 bloobs.
Lovely. Gareth, you did a hot take. You had some sleep. What has that sleep changed about your opinion, if anything?
Nothing, because I've had about 5 hours sleep. It's not enough.
Yeah.
No, I still love it. If anything, I love it even more. It's. I think, I said last night that it's one of the best episodes, or I don't know if that's quite true. One of the best episodes. It's an episode of TV that I personally have enjoyed the most in a long time.
What's the difference?
Like I can't. Well, the difference is that there can be. I mean, this is still an excellently constructed episode of television. But I'm not willing to make that claim at this point. I haven't thought about it deeply enough. I'm just saying, for me, on a personal level, I just loved watching this episode, and I did enjoy it. And I think you've got to look at a love story and be like, right, what is the ultimate aim of this? What is a happy ending? Because everyone dies in the end. And, if somebody manages to live forever, is that even a happy ending?
If someone manages to live forever, no, that would be horrendous.
Right, exactly. So what do you want from a story other than somebody who was living for themselves, had no drive or real purpose? I am with you, John. That that did look fun for Bill. The first few years, I'd be fucked. I was thinking that. I was like, this would be so much fun. I would not have a clue what I'm doing though, and I would immediately plug the wrong pipe into something and blow myself up.
Yeah.
But you know, he's there. He's surviving, and he discovers love, enjoys a pretty special, 20 years or so, and then goes out on his own terms. What could be a happier ending in a world like this? Yeah. So I think it is a happy story, and it's so well told. And yeah, I'm not going to go into details yet, but I loved it so much, and it's absolutely a 5 blueberry. But I think I would watch that again.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like very soon. I'm not
definitely.
Yeah.
Gotta go to work then, no?
All right. Well, I'm going to agree with you both. Spoiler warning. It's a 5 blue episode.
What?
John, people have laughed at what you said last week to me, which is Len's just going to give every episode 5 bloobs.
Wow.
So far, you're right.
Yeah.
So I have no defense.
Well,
really,
let's be fair. You were making the comparison to his 5 bloobs in House of the Dragon. Remember, he gave Thor: Love and Thunder 3 bloobs. That is disgusting.
It was disgusting. It is a 2 bloob movie. In hindsight, it is awful.
I mean, he gave Rise of Skywalker 4 bloobs. I mean, fucking hell.
Yeah, well, that's shameful. Sorry, that is shameful. There's a couple of things going on here. I will say that I'm obviously, probably the most hardcore video game fan of the game out of the 3 of us.
In the
Obviously,
world.
John.
Definitely.
But maybe in the world, actually, Gareth. Challenge me, if you will, listeners. But so I'm coming at it from sort of a video game perspective, and there was a part of me, and I said this in the hot take halfway through, it was a bit gutted that we're not going to get the Ellie and Bill dynamic, because it's a decent part of the game, and I was quite looking forward to it. But the character of Bill is like so much more interesting and realised in the show than he is in the game. The relationship between Bill and Frank is essentially hinted at but the end of their story, in my opinion, is horrible. It's filled with anger, rage, and I'll talk about that more in Clicker Corner because it's very interesting.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. But this story is way more powerful. It's a love story, like in a little oasis in the middle of an apocalypse, right? And I thought the acting was stunning. I've already talked about Nick Offerman in the hot take, and how basically he is just Ron Swanson, but Ron Swanson is very well suited to to this situation. This is like an amazing Parks and Rec spin-off, to be honest with you. The production values are magnificent. The music, we talked about it in the hot take, but fuck me, it's just so fucking good. And although their story like unfolds differently in the show, we essentially get the same outcome that we do in the game. At least now we have a little bit of hope and like light early on in the adventure, instead of just the trudge and like the horrible reality that this world constantly gives us. And bear with me, listeners, it's going to get dark. But yeah, it's nice to have something this early on, because we've had a couple of, moments where your heart gets ripped out a bit. And this rips your heart out as well. But
He's ripped my heart out a bit.
Yeah.
It's a bit ripped my heart out.
But this hits you in the feels as well. But at least this
Hits
time,
in the feels as well. Fucking hell.
I think this leaves you with a good taste in your mouth, rather than
What is?
So I can't give it anything less than a 5. This is the best episode of the season. Will it be the best episode of the show? I don't know. For me, I don't think so, because I'm really excited about some of the things that are coming up. So I can't say at this point. But John, you were right. I'm giving everything a 5 because I can't not, apparently. I don't have it in me to give a 4 or less.
No, obviously not. I also said last week, do we think that every episode is going to have a major character death? And I mean, so far,
Oh, that's right, you did, yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah. I sort of know where episode 4 is going. I'm not going to say a word, to be honest, because that would be a spoiler.
So, we'll say a couple of words. Podcast.
I will say more words, yeah, but not about that subject matter. Thank you, John.
You know, I think this episode does it effectively, but is it really a major character if they're introduced in that episode and then killed off?
Yeah, true. Good
I think
point.
we've got 2 major
mean?
characters now, essentially.
Well, I know,
And
but I mean,
there's more than 2
would you
episodes,
consider
so
his
they're not gonna
daughter
kill.
to be a major character? She's in 1 episode.
Yes.
Dead.
She's in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Very good performance from Nico, as we've already said. Anyway, we're going to have a quick advert, but before we do that, and our scene-by-scene breakdown, we have a new Patreon. Lads.
Oh, yeah.
Huzzah.
It's a cool name.
Of course,
Good name.
anyone can join us. Anyone can join our Patreon. You go to
magician.
patreon.com/fancritical. So feel free to go to that. I want to say thank you to Sevin Ketzer for joining the club. You're a legend. And they've been listening since the old Watchmen days. So how's about that, lads? That was the glory times. During the Watchmen days.
All right.
We just...
Well, we're having fun now.
So this is
now.
also glory.
So.
This is also glory, but it was a different show to cover. I don't know how to describe Watchmen. If you haven't seen Watchmen, go watch it. It's fantastic. Not the film. The film is good, but go watch the HBO show. That's also very good. But thank you for all your support, Sevin. I'll save your thoughts and your request for our feedback section later in the episode, because you'll like that, lads. You'll like that. So
Please,
stick around.
can John take his top off and take a photo of himself?
Okay, not another one of them. Jesus.
I think that's worth more than $5, isn't it?
Yes, definitely.
It's a tenner.
Tenner.
Tenner a month for
John's a tenner, which is about $14. Yeah,
Get your wangers
anyway.
out for a tenner. Why are you saying that?
Unbelievable. Like I said, you can also join the Patreon. Go to patreon.com/fancritical. Get access to some bonus content. And if you want to feature in our feedback section, you can email us at fancriticalpodcast@gmail.com. All of these links are in the show notes on the podcast right now. Just click them. Easy. Now time for a quick musical interlude and an ad break. After that, we'll be back with the scene-by-scene breakdown. See you on the other side. As civilization comes crashing down around us, it can get hard to fall asleep. I know that after a few of those House of Dragon episodes this season, it was definitely difficult to fall asleep. And I'm sure that's the same for you, dear listener. Well, writer and director Adam McKay isn't afraid to admit that adults need bedtime stories too. Join Adam McKay and friends for improvised, meandering tales meant to lull you to sleep. Stories of wayward polka dots, martial arts in mysterious platinum suits, and the terrifying panic of grabbing free stuff. And don't miss sleepy tales from guests like Sarah Silverman, Cole Escola, and Michaela Watkins. Listen to Bedtime Stories with Adam McKay on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. That's Bedtime Stories with Adam McKay. Okay, let's jump into it then. Straight in, we see Joel by a river 10 miles outside of Boston as he makes a cairn or grave in memory of Tess. Ellie confronts him and says this is not her fault. Then they search Cumberland Farms for some supplies Joel stashed there. Ellie sees an infected human, roughly about the stalker stage, and is fascinated by it before stabbing it in the head.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Good call.
Yeah.
Just quickly, this will mean nothing to listeners, but it means something to the two of you. Don't you think
Great.
the area that they were walking around is a lot like John, your father-in-law's place in the middle of
Yeah.
nowhere.
Yeah.
Reminded me massively of that.
Yeah. Me, Gaz, and John went and stayed in the woods together.
We did a podcast on it.
Yeah.
We did. That is where we recorded a live podcast, an Australian live podcast.
Oh God.
Yeah. It was very fun.
Yes.
Didn't sound like that. It's fine.
Yeah.
Didn't sound like that the whole time yet. I thought Joel making a grave for Tess was needed. Thought we needed to see him grieve a little bit.
Really thought
in his own little
you
way.
were going to say it was neat. I was like, why is he saying that?
Was very neat.
But was it needed?
It was very neat, though.
I think it needed more for the viewer, no? Like, you want some sort of signal that he's grieving.
Yeah.
'Cause otherwise,
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, I'm not having a go at Pedro Pascal at all, but at the moment, he's certainly, for people that haven't played the game, his performance as Joel is very one note at the moment. It's obviously going to turn into something much
Stoic.
better than that, but
Yeah, there's glimpses into him not being that one note, though. It's like, at the moment, the shackles are on. And it's just waiting for those shackles to
yeah,
come
I was
off.
like, I don't remember
Well,
that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There is a good little moment though, you know, where Ellie's like, that wasn't my fault, and basically says you can't blame me for it, and he doesn't say anything, but he does do a little nod, just a little nod, and that's
Yeah, a little nod.
that's good. That's like, yeah, you know, it doesn't want to make a big deal of it, but he's like, yeah, you probably have a point. Cheers.
See you later, yeah?
Here's an
Where you
interesting little fact for you boys. Cumberland Farms is an actual store in the US. So US listeners will be going, yeah, obviously, but it's an actual store. It kind of sounds quite English. Cumberland Farms,
Sausages.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's very, yeah. We love a Cumberland sausage. Do us Brits.
Yeah. It's not a euphemism.
I wish I had some
Maybe it is.
in the fridge right now. I don't.
That's definitely a euphemism, yeah.
John, can you show us your Cumberland sausage for $5,
Don't get
please?
Yeah. Maybe Pedro Pascal is so used to wearing a mask that he just
Good point.
yeah. So he's kind of like, well, don't even need to do acting. In the other show where I definitely get more money, I don't even have to act. So yeah. I wonder if he does get
It's
more money
true.
for doing The Mandalorian. He must do, surely.
You reckon he gets more money for doing Mando than
Yeah,
Last of
I don't
Us?
want anyone to do any research on it.
HBO
But, you know, listeners.
versus Disney.
Yeah.
I would say yes, he does, because he's in season 3 now, and it's such a hit. Obviously, Last of Us is now a hit, but when he signed on, it wasn't. So that'll be interesting. We'll discuss the little arcade machine in Click a Corner, won't we?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, bloody lovely little tidbits for you there. So stick around, dear listeners, where we give all the Easter egg references from the game in Click a Corner. So Ellie and Joel continue their hike to Bill and Frank's, where they see a crashed plane and then a mass grave. Joel begins to describe what happened to a lot of people after the QZ zones were set up, explaining that if they were full, villages, towns and suburbs were rounded up and mass executed. Lovely, isn't it? Just a nice little, more lovely stuff going on.
Well, I mean, you boys
Yeah.
are saying it's a barrel of laughs this episode, so do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Gaz was like really saying that. I said it was pretty funny. So
Yeah.
This wasn't the funniest bit of the episode. I will say that.
no.
Yeah.
Before we get on to the mass graves, because I know we're all itching to talk about that. The flower theory, John confirmed. Said it to Gareth.
Yeah.
Pretty good,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I heard you know, delighted about it on the hot take. I had to skip that bit.
Yeah,
I
it's
was
like,
I'm not
oh,
listening to
guys,
this."
did you hear about that flower theory?
Yeah.
Oh, they've confirmed
Yeah,
it.
I'm not listening to Len claim a theory that he looked up on Reddit 10 minutes before a fucking podcast. Like, go away, honestly.
No, that's not what happened, listeners. That is not what happened. I came up with the theory, all right?
Yeah.
Reddit copied him, yeah?
Yeah, actually.
Exactly. I was banned from Reddit, so don't even go there. Anyway, and that sounds bad. It makes it sound like I've made some bad comments.
Yeah.
I genuinely didn't.
Well, why have you got a life ban then?
I've been banned.
Kept asking to see people's chipolatas, mate.
My account was banned, and I tell you to this day, it's one of the biggest injustices I've ever seen. Anyway,
Excessive usage of Cumberland.
Sir, We've asked you to stop asking for people's Cumberlands.
What? r/Cumberland. That was my main thread. I thought it was funny when they said that it's not spread by monkeys. I was like, well, that's a cheeky dig at 28 days later and 12 monkeys. So slagging them off, if anything.
Yeah. Unnecessary.
It was such a slag off. I couldn't believe it. I was like, Jesus.
Slag off.
Such a slag off.
What a slag off. Have you heard this slag off recently? What a weird turn of phrase that is.
Yeah, American listeners, that's what us Brits say.
No, we don't.
From time to time.
Oh, dear.
Oh, dear. All right, well, I thought the mass grave thing, moving on to something cheery, was just so grim. And then we see in the flashback coming up that it was a mother and a baby. And I was like, oh, this is, it was a great transition. John, you probably hate the timestamp, but...
there's more coming, mate.
There's more coming. So,
Yeah. 14
but
days later.
I thought it was a very
pointless.
It was a very effective transition, and the transition even made us fucking emotional, for fuck's sake, when we see the mother and the baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you didn't even notice earlier, did you? I thought in the hot take you said you didn't notice that it was the mother and baby.
I did. Gaz was talking about a scarf or something. I don't know. I was delirious at that time at night.
What are you talking? This is nonsense. We both noticed it. Why are you trying to throw me under the bus? We spoke about it last night and said how brutal it was.
Yeah,
and I was like,
know.
Thank God we didn't see that go any further.
That's true. Yeah,
that's
enough. Maybe that's
John's
what it was.
making shit up.
Maybe that's what it
But
was.
yes.
John's not listening. John's not listening properly to the hot
What do you
takes.
mean? I mean, you've just
and you're all
agreed
on
with
it.
me. What are you talking about? You could have corrected me.
Bizarre. You
hell.
haven't listened.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
I've lost it as well. Anyway, let's move on. So this is 2003, where these people are being rounded up and for transportation to the QZ. Bill watches on from his secret bunker below his basement. I've written here, immediately loved Nick Offerman as soon as he said, "Not today, you new world order jack-offs," or whatever he said. That was
Yeah,
great.
it was out of order, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved it. I just thought that's so good. And that was the first Ron Swanson line of the show, and there'll be more of them. Bill, coincidentally, has been training for this his whole life. He sets his plans into action, getting every ounce of fuel that he can, all tools from the hardware store, wine from the liquor store or the fine wine store. He then sets up traps and a perimeter around the town. It is now Bill's town. Nod to the game there.
Bill's Town. Isn't that like a Killers album?
Does sound like a Killers album.
Yeah.
Sam's Town, Gareth. Sam's
Sam's
Town.
Town,
Similar though,
It's
isn't
the
it?
Killers album. Second album. Yeah. Kind of good. Not as good as their first. So, well, first things first, John. Fuck me. Did you see how cheap that petrol was?
Well,
Beautiful.
yes.
I mean, take us back to those times. Because I'll tell you something right now, as we all know, the fuel crisis, fucking hell, nightmare. Nightmare, mate. Over here in Australia, it's actually pretty affordable. But when I was back in the UK, unbelievable, mate. We're talking like, what are we talking at the moment? Like $3 a fucking litre? Unbelievable. Can't stand it.
Well, I mean, I guess we need some sort of apocalypse for, free petrol. Yeah. Then it's like, oh yeah, brilliant. Yeah, that's good.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Good idea, John.
Yeah.
Let's
Don't have to pay
start
for this.
that.
Everyone's dead.
I did kind of think here that it feels like these montages are bread and butter for any sort of zombie apocalypse show or film.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's like a rite of passage. The most famous ones that come to mind is like Dawn of the Dead in the shopping mall when they, just that is a very cool scenario. So definitely,
yeah,
warrants it. There's also like 28 Days Later they even do it, and they do it in like fucking Walking Dead. I'm sure there's probably multiple montages in the Walking Dead of this sort of shit.
Yeah, I think the difference with Dawn of the Dead, and they go to a massive shopping mall, and it's like, yeah, brilliant. They've got access to so much stuff. And then in 28 Days Later, I think they go to like some shit little supermarket.
Convenience store.
Oh, fucking hell.
An off license. An offie.
Yeah. Oh, look, I've got some
Charity
ham that's out of date. Ugh, brilliant. Yeah, that is garbage.
The world's worst shopping spree.
Yeah, it's like an Iceland or something.
Depressing.
Yeah.
What would be your boy's first port of call in this sort of situation? Out of curiosity.
Shop, go get some beer. Yes.
No.
You're
Well,
hard.
look, I don't know, probably go to a B&Q. So B&Q is a hardware store.
Yeah.
Get some rope and hang myself. Probably.
Fucking
Right,
hell.
but what are you doing afterwards?
No, so I would. I probably would go to a hardware store just to find some. Not rope again. Come on. No, just to find something that I can use as a weapon. Because like Australia.
In the UK, no guns.
Yeah.
No
Well,
guns.
that's it. Yeah. So you go to like a Bunnings in Bunnings. Is that a hardware store?
That's right, yeah.
It is, yeah.
But yeah, obviously in America, you go to your what like, I don't know, a 7-Eleven probably, or
Fucking
let's be
hell.
honest,
Walmart.
probably
Go to
No,
Walmart.
but
it's not a lie.
definitely a Walmart. You buy anything in a Walmart, but I'd imagine you just
That's
honestly,
true.
Yeah, I mean, you just go to your neighbour's house and there's like a missile launcher there or something.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah, feel free to
I will say.
correct me if I'm wrong, American
yeah.
listeners. But
No. An apocalypse in America compared to the UK would be a very, very different situation. I've said this before. We would literally have the Shaun of the Dead cricket bat situation. That would be our weapon, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
So
It's even hard to find baseball bats. Like we would be
Genuinely.
relying
it
on
genuinely
the old
is. Yeah.
oak cricket bat, like breaks after 3 uses.
Yeah.
yeah. Tennis racket might even be an option. I'm just thinking out loud here, but they're so tennis
Squash.
rackets these days are made of like carbon.
What about
So
golf?
they just
A golf
shatter.
club, would that be helpful? It's got-
Yeah, maybe a driver, but I reckon that's only got a couple of hits in it. Anyway, we digress. He gathers all the gear for his traps, fences himself off, but what is he living for, lads? Yeah, that's what I've written here. What is he living
Well,
for?
I mean, he's just existing, isn't he? He's not living. He's existing.
Oh, very good, John. That's nice. It's quite philosophical from you.
Yeah.
In a way.
Wow.
Well, let's fast forward 4 years to 2007, and someone falls into one of Bill's traps and falls into his heart. He begs for his life and some food. Bill reluctantly lets him in.
Did you write that
Lets him
down?
shower. No, I didn't actually. I just riffed on that. Lets him shower and then treats him to some rabbit and a glass of Beaujolais. After dinner, Frank spies a piano and plays Linda Ronstadt, Long, Long Time, for Bill. Bill disapproves and then plays the song in a much more pleasing and delightful manner. Frank then asks which girl he was singing about, to which Bill responds, no girl. And Bill and Frank's relationship begins.
Yeah. You make it sound like it was like an interaction between two Sims characters.
Yeah, I know.
One of them's playing the piano, the other one disapproves.
Yeah. Why is the piano on fire?
Gareth strikes me as a kind of maniac that would play The Sims and build the house with no windows or doors and just trap them in there.
No, but I'll tell you what.
with
I
nothing
would
to
do. You could do things like give them a piano, have them sit down and play it, then pause the game, remove
Yeah.
the piano, and then they're like, "What the fuck's happening?" Confuses the shit out of them. It's incredible.
You are a psychopath, my friend.
A psychopath.
Yes.
I've got to say, like when I watched it, I was a bit like, that bit felt like it moved quite quickly. Like
It did.
I mean, it's
But what's the point of
this is 2003 in America. You know, I think
2007?
Oh,
at this
sorry,
point?
2007. Yeah, no, yeah, that's a massive difference. Quite. I don't know. I mean, the guy's got some front to come in and eat some food and then have some of your finest wine sit there and start playing a piano that belongs to your dead mum or whatever it was, terribly as well. And then he's like, well, no, you are shit at this. This is how you're supposed to do it. And he's like, oh, yeah. Must get all the girls with all that music, innit? He's like, yeah, not really, no. Well, not girls. And he kisses him. That's a bit quick, isn't it?
No, I was just going to say, I think he knows quite soon that he's homosexual. I'm pretty certain that Bill gives that away. gives that away very early on in their interactions.
Yeah. Read between the lines.
I mean,
right between the lines.
Yeah.
I think also Frank has got like an effervescent personality, doesn't he? And
he does.
Speeds things along because he's just got this like energy.
He has got an energy. Frank, played by Murray Bartlett, who you may know from White Lotus. He plays Armand. And he is very charming and very disarming in that. And in this, he is also the same. He's very charming, very disarming. The complete sort of opposite to Bill, who is this solitary character who obviously can't express himself or has never been able to express himself. And now here comes this character in the apocalypse who's out there, who's, you know, and Bill can finally let his walls down because the rest of the world isn't there to judge him. You know,
I think it's more of a fence, isn't it? Fence.
Yeah, don't do that. We're all staying here and do stuff, but let's be safe when we're doing it. Obviously.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah,
good point. Need a good fence.
Go have a shower.
I'll be in a sec.
Go have a shower. Yeah,
go have a shower.
Please have a shower. Everyone in the show needs to have a shower.
Yeah, you stink, mate. I was thinking when you were playing that piano, I was like, oh, you look cute. And then I've obviously kissed you in that. You stink, mate. So if you go and have a shower,
you do stink. Mate, Len, do you remember? Len and I did a 5-day bus journey in South America.
We did.
Where we literally we slept on the bus every one of those nights.
Every day.
Oh my God. The shower that we had after that together was incredible.
Yeah, beautiful. Lovely shower. I thought Bill's rendition of the song was lovely, and it reminds me of my potential with the piano, as I've discussed on this podcast before. Obviously, that was my lockdown passion, and has stopped now. But what could have been for my fledgling piano career, we can only wonder.
Passion. He tried to learn one song and was not very good at learning that one song. Come on.
Well, actually, I learned several songs, John. So I just didn't send them all to you because I knew what you're like, very judgmental. See, this is what happens.
Because you're like, can you guess what song this is? Listen to this. I'm like, no, just sounds like a madman smashing
Twinkle, Little
keys.
Star again.
Yeah, rubbish.
Yeah. Or is it Bar Bar Black Sheep? He learnt Twinkle Twinkle Little Star, Bar Bar Black Sheep.
Yeah,
there's two.
Yeah.
And then both of them as a medley.
You may have had potential as a piano player, Len. I will give you that, but there is no potential there for your singing, is there?
No, unfortunately not. Not unless I get lessons. But I just, I'm not that fussed.
I don't think it works that way, mate.
It does. Let's move on. In 2010, so we skip forward 3 years, Frank and Bill are having a domestic about making friends outside their little secluded world. Frank puts his foot down and says that he's contacted Tess and Joel and has invited them to a lovely dinner in the yard. Frank sets up that they'll be working with each other, smuggling and trading. Joel then warns Bill that raiders will come soon and to be ready. This feels kind of like the argument that the Bill and Frank of the game would have had with each other. But the Bill in the show is much kinder and more understanding, I've written here. We'll get onto the Bill in the game later on, but he's a very abrasive, very closed-off character, and it feels like these events never, warmed his heart or, softened him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I have a question for you all. Why wouldn't Joel and Tess, and this is a genuine question I'm confused about. Why wouldn't Joel and Tess push to move into Bill's town? I mean,
it's a bit rude.
It's so much nicer than He's got a whole fucking town, bro. He's got like his town's huge.
But I mean, you know, I'm sure that there's people's houses that you've gone to and gone, that's quite nice here. Actually, I'm quite impressed. Quite a big house and that. Do you use that spare room? Do you or yeah?
It's the apocalypse, mate. You know,
I can tell you now. Even in an apocalypse, go get your own house. Like, this is my house. Definitely not. That'd be so rude. Plus, they're not really like that, are they? They're rogues. You know, they're like the littlest hobo. They go from town to town.
Yeah, I just think that Boston QZ is just so depressing, and to go back there just feels weird to me. I genuinely feel like Tess would have been pushing to stay. Because from their perspective, they could be offering protection as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's fair enough that Bill is the protector, and I get that. But then Joel and Tess could have been the protectors as well. I mean, it just. Anyway, it's very interesting. It's very interesting. Anyway,
this town now has 3 protectors
and 1 furniture restoration man.
Just what we need.
1 gardener and 1 furniture restoration man. That's his job. That's Frank's job. He does it fantastically, I will say.
Yeah.
However, raiders do attack at night. Bill's traps basically melt a lot of them, but Bill is caught with a bullet to the gut. Frank tends to Bill's wounds, but we are unsure as to whether he will pull through. Joel said it would happen, and I'm surprised, to be honest with you, that raiders took, at this point, 7 years to, or 10 years, took 10 years to attack.
Yeah, and did they only ever get attacked once in that entire time? Come on.
Well, up to that point, yes.
We don't know that. There could have been more.
There's a poster in the background that's like, we've been attacked 7 times in the last. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Days since last attack, and then there's like the chalk scratchings.
Why have we got this poster
town?
It's just us 2. Why would we? Yeah. The raiders were quite faceless. Like,
yeah.
I feel like it would have, and look, that might be deliberate, but I don't know, would it hit home a little bit more if they, you know, if they were being attacked by, like, you know, young adults, like, you know.
Yeah. Because
when it's like a generic bad man one, it's like, well, okay, yeah, he's evil, isn't it? But
yeah, I think what's going to be interesting is looking at next week's previews, and I know the section of the game that's coming up. They are going to try, I think, to put a face to another group of attackers potentially next week. I don't think there was necessarily time to do it here. But I think they're going to. Let's put it this way: I think that there's going to be some antagonistic characters next week who I think they will try and flesh it out a bit more. If you get what I mean.
Very mysterious.
So we'll see how that goes. Mysterious, yes, very mysterious.
Yeah.
All right. So we didn't know whether Bill was going to make it, but we then flash forward 10 years. To essentially present day in the story. We see that Bill survived, but it's actually Frank that has deteriorated the most. He has some form of cancer, we assume, and is now bound to a wheelchair. Frank asks Bill for one last day together, where they marry, have a wonderful dinner, and then he euthanizes him with his medication. Bill reluctantly accepts to do it, but decides he also wants to commit suicide, saying his life has been fulfilled by Frank.
Yeah, and then he goes, let me stick this music on from Arrival, because that's...
Exactly, and just talking about that, John, this track, In the Nature of Daylight, is an absolutely stunning piece of music by Max Richter. It's playing right now in the background. It probably makes our podcast seem very beautiful and yet tragic at the same time, because it is one of those pieces of music that affects me. You know, there's certain tracks that just affect you. Like whenever you hear it, it just breaks you or makes you think about something.
Back, all right.
This piece of music, whenever I hear it, and I've used it in a couple of short things that I've worked on before in the past. It's very effective, and
Yeah.
I can't stop thinking about this song. And it really elevated this whole sequence for me. And John, you mentioned Arrival. I think its use in Arrival is very similar. The narrative, what it's used for in Arrival, and I won't spoil Arrival, is very similar to what's going on here about life and the purpose of it, and what is the purpose of living. And yeah, I thought it was a beautiful use of the track. I'd be interested to know if the showrunners have seen Arrival. I'm sure they probably have, and have used it for that reason. John,
Well,
really?
See, I'm going to upset you here. I think it was a fucking cop-out to use that, to be honest. Like, I mean, it's
knew John would
used in
say that.
everything
He
now.
is.
Like, in Arrival, I think that's probably the peak of its usage. It's a beautiful,
I agree. That's,
British composer,
Yeah.
so good on him.
Yeah, seen him live a few times. Very good.
But,
Very good.
yeah, just doing a local pub or something. Very depressing night, this is. But it's just
happy
it's
hour.
too. I don't want 2 drinks.
2
to be
for
honest.
1
I'm just gonna go
cocktails.
home.
Welcome to Weatherspoons, everyone. I'm just going to play this song now.
Stop playing that. He's here every night. I just think it's too like when it hits, it's like, oh yeah, it's that. Do you know what I mean? It's like, stop using it too much now. Like,
Are you telling me to stop using it in my
I'm
work
telling
as well,
you
John?
to stop.
Are you
Definitely
saying-
tell you to stop
Yeah.
using it. Yeah, but no one sees your
I
work
said-
anyway, so it doesn't matter. But
What do you mean?
I don't know if I agree with you, John, but I did say yesterday in the hot take that I wondered, like at the time, I was like, oh, this is like I'm feeling emotional. I wondered if it was the episode so far and the construction of it and everything that's gone into it, the characterization, the narrative, or whether it was just that piece of music which does it kind of on its own anyway. And maybe with you saying that, kind of reflecting a little bit, maybe that is it's not ideal, is it? That even having that thought almost kind of takes away from the beauty of the episode.
yeah.
But
Well,
I think it worked for me.
I think the story, I think it supplements the story very well. Now, obviously I said the music always gets me, and it does, but I think the cinematography in this sequence is absolutely fucking stunning. Like, and just the imagery used. So I'm all for it. I thought it was great. But, that's different horses, different courses, John.
No, but you don't want to compare how depressed you feel when you watch certain scenes. And again, we're not going to spoil Arrival, but I don't know. It almost feels like that song was written for that film. Obviously, it wasn't. It's much older. But with this, it was like as soon as it hit, I was like, "Oh right, that's the song from Arrival." Like you don't want to be taken out of the moment like that. Like when he's playing the piano, I was choked up when he was playing the piano. I was like, "What the fuck am I doing here? Like, why is this so effective?"
Big Linda Ronstadt fan, are you?
Let's not go down that alley again. Yeah, like I don't know.
I've put here Bill committing suicide is a complete contrast to him at the start, happy to survive on his own, closed himself off, but now he can't be alone. I thought that was a lovely little story. Little turn, little turnaround for the character. And I've written here a happy ending. Because
I think so.
I think this is the happiest moment we're going to get in the show, really, guys. I don't know what you think about that. I mean, there is one other moment I could think about, and I didn't expect this to be a happy episode, but I leave this episode with a bit of hope. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, I mean, it comes back to that existing and then living, and he's lived. So now he's like, all right, well, that's it. I don't need to be here anymore.
Yeah. Life fulfilled for him. His life has been fulfilled by Frank. And like I said, I was a bit shocked that Bill was going to commit suicide here, because that is a difference in the game. this is completely different. And that was the moment when I was like, oh, fucking hell, they're just getting rid of the whole Joel, Ellie and Bill situation. Because originally when we were getting to this point where Frank wanted to kill himself, I was a bit like, next episode's going to be, them in Bill's town. But it's not. They just fucking got rid of it, which is a bold move. I'm sure some people who love the video game are going to be disappointed. Speaking of Joel and Ellie, they arrive at Bill's town in present day, and there is no sign of Bill or Frank. Ellie finds a letter left for Joel detailing what they decided to do and why surviving for others, for family, is everything. What do you reckon about the little letter to Joel?
Bit rude of her to open it. I mean, I know it says whomever or Joel, but Joel's name's on there.
No, I thought it was also very rude, Gaz, and it would have annoyed me. But Joel just rolls with it, so fair play to him. It's their job to protect people, it says in there, like Bill talking to Joel.
Is that a bit shit, that line?
I like the line where he's like, and God help any motherfuckers that get in our way. That was a great line.
See, I actually, I don't like that line. That reminds me of people, like on social media that are like, I love my family and won't let anything get in my way. People on Facebook who are writing that. It's like,
when you get like a 5'4" fat woman that's like, wow, if that 7 foot, UFC fighter was to say that to my face or my daughter, I'd have killed him. So you wouldn't have. He's the fat little woman.
I just say what I feel.
But not having a go. This woman doesn't exist.
Fictional.
I agree with Gaz. I mean, that's needless. But I don't know the character that well, so who knows?
He then leaves all of his supplies for them, and Joel makes a makeshift battery for the car. They both get to shower, eat some nice food, and stock up on anything they need.
Yeah, what's the obsession with people having showers?
Oh, it's fucking, what a luxury. 20 years in, mate.
Do you know what I was thinking earlier in the episode is like how long they've been wearing the same pair of jeans. Like, don't you think after a day of wearing jeans, I'm like, fuck me, I need to get these off. Like, they're uncomfortable.
Do you not take them off when you go to bed?
Are you supposed to?
Are they wearing pants? Are they wearing underwear? That's my question for you.
What? I hope so.
Oh, you can't go no underwear jeans.
Yeah, who does that? Who goes commando with jeans?
There's more friction there than a Bill and Frank kiss.
Well, there you go, yeah. Velcro.
Well, I thought as they leave and they set off in the car and they obviously put the tape in, listening to Linda Ronstadt, we pull back to Bill and Frank's open window, and I thought it was pretty powerful, to be honest with you. A lovely end to the episode.
Yeah.
Yep. A reminder that it's open so that the smell doesn't get too bad.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Imagine if there was like a fly buzzing around. A few flies, I'd imagine, if it's a dead corpse. And then they drive off in their spaceship, don't they? That was quite
yeah, in
good.
a spaceship.
Put your seatbelt on. Ooh, what is this? That's obvious, isn't it?
Does it go on head? No, why are you talking like that?
Yeah. Do I eat this? No. You know what materials are? I don't understand. It wouldn't be
but also,
wouldn't be that much of a foreign concept.
It's
It's a mirror, isn't it? You've seen a mirror before. I don't. Yeah. So yeah, that was
Yes, well, that brings us to the end of the episode. But don't worry, dear listeners. It's time for the best segment of the show, in a way. It's time for Clicker Corner. Hello, yes, welcome to Clicker Corner. This is the section where we run through all of the delicious Easter eggs from the video game or any tenuous links that I think I can find.
Straight to tenuous.
But I think, first of all, let's run through all the ways in which this episode differs from the game. So firstly, Bill and Frank have a big argument in the game that we as players never see. In fact, the only time you see Frank is a horrible discovery, actually, which I'll get onto. But Joel doesn't even know who Frank is In fact, he's never been out to Billstown before personally in the game, right? So this is all a new experience for Joel. You later find Frank is hung himself, basically, at the end of the Billstown chapter. And he's left a hateful note to Bill that says the following.
He's got it on his phone. I'd have thought that the world's biggest Last of Us fan would know this off by heart.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
there you go.
So the letters in the show and the game obviously drastically different. This is Frank's letter to Bill. Well, Bill, I doubt you ever find this note because you were too scared to ever make it to this part of town. But if for some reason you did, I want you to know I hated your guts. I grew tired of this shitty town, of your set in your own ways attitude. I wanted more from life, and you could never get that. And that stupid battery you kept moaning about, yeah, I got it. But I guess you were right. Trying to leave this town will kill me. Still better than spending another day with you. Good luck, Frank.
Yeah, that's too much, isn't it?
I
think a wise choice from the showrunners.
I think a wise choice to change direction, and I think it worked fantastically in the show. And like I said to you on a hot take, Gareth, it just wouldn't worked in the game, in the show, the way they did it in the game. I just don't think it would have worked. So that's the main change, and obviously a huge change for those characters, even though the fact that Bill and Frank were, romantically involved is heavily hinted at in the game and pretty much confirmed that is the case in the game. You just never see much of Frank. And obviously their relationship ended on a much more sour and horrible note.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the arcade machine. So Ellie referencing the arcade machine. She does the exact same thing in the game. But what's cool here is they used Mortal Kombat. Now, in the game, she references a made-up game, and you'll like the sound of this game, Gareth. You like your retro games. This game in Last of Us is called The Turning, yeah?
Mm.
And there's a character in there called Angel Knives that has a similar fatality move to that of Marlena, which is who Ellie was referencing from Mortal Kombat. So I thought that was quite cool that they actually... I think Warner Brothers owns HBO, Warner Brothers owns Mortal Kombat, so they could obviously use Mortal Kombat as a reference here.
That's great. That is good. How frustrating, though. Like, think about the number of arcade machines that are just lying dormant, unplayed.
Yeah. Think of how many we could have put in a garage or garage. Yeah.
Get it to Billstown, and then you can play.
Hook her up, baby. I've put Ellie finding boxes of supplies. She did find feminine supplies. I've put that's kind of like the game, except obviously, in the game you just find little boxes, rolls of tape. That the scavenging part is huge in the game. Bill's traps, a huge part of the game as you play through that section. Avoiding those traps and using them to your advantage is key in taking down hordes of infected. Yeah, tripwires, all that sort of shit. That's actually where you learn to make spike bombs. Yeah, so
okay,
just thought you'd like that as a little tidbit. Bill looks just like he does in the game. He has his trademark weapons. He's got his shotgun, rifle, the gas mask, and we even see his machete in his little bunker, which I thought was quite fun. There's also a workbench in Bill's bunker, and anyone who's played the game knows that you use workbenches for upgrading guns, and in the latest remake and in part 2, they're much cooler. That the animations they actually take apart certain sections of the guns and rebuild them. It's very cool. Check it out. It's very nerdy stuff if you're into your guns. If you're into your guns, nerd. It's some.
That would have been good. Like if when they were down there, like Joel just said, "Oh, I might upgrade my gun on that thing later." That would have been.
Yeah, and then he says, "Have you got enough parts to do that?" And it goes, "You are 10 parts short." Short.
Where'd that voice come from?
Collect 3 wood.
Yeah.
Joel's speech to Ellie after they find Bill's letter is exactly the same from the game, pretty much. What you say goes. I really like that speech. Ellie and Joel donned their iconic clothes, especially Ellie in her iconic red t-shirt. Exactly the same as the game. They are ready for the adventure now, aren't they, Gareth? They are ready.
They are. They have now entered video game mode.
Would you like to play again? No, anyway, the end shot of the window is pretty iconic in both Last of Us and Last of Us Part 2. I won't say much more on Last of Us Part 2, but I will say that in Last of Us Part 1, the window, an open window, is the menu screen. And we also see it, obviously, at the start of the 2003 outbreak with Sarah's window. The use of open windows is very effectively used in a big narrative sort of little symbolic thing in both of the games. So ending on that shot, I thought was quite powerful. And a little nod to anyone who does, obviously, know the game. And that's the end of Clicker Corner this week. I thought there's some quite good, fun things in there. Do you like that one, boys? You like that one?
Yeah, it was fun.
Better than the ones where you're like, now at one point, the sun appeared from behind a cloud, and the sun does make an appearance in the game, briefly.
Yeah. Fuck you.
Tenuous.
Tenuous. All right, let's move on to some listener feedback. We are running a bit long. Let's just get a few of these in there, yeah? And you can email us at fancriticalpodcast@gmail.com. That's fancriticalpodcast@gmail.com. Or get in touch with us on one of our social channels, Patreon, whatever. If we have time each week, we will have a short feedback section. This one, I did promise I would save. This is Seven's note.
Right, go on, John.
From Patreon.
Take it off.
John, get ready to take your t-shirt off. They said, love your Last of Us coverage, and recently had my mind blown when you pointed out that Joel and his daughter continuously turned down flour-based foods on Infection Day. Hell yeah, that's cool. That being said, I was horrified to receive an email after subscribing to the Patreon containing the phrase 5 blueberries for you. I thought this was funny. You don't know anything about me. I could be awful. Am I to understand you're willing to sell 5 blue ratings sight unseen for a measly $5? Christ, you're like the dollar store Vatican. How deep does this go? Fuck off, yeah?
Well, I will say this. Len's giving 5 blueberries to everything and everyone, so don't feel special.
Yeah.
Good point. I actually said, John, that you'd do anything for $5, so get your fucking top off.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
They say, in lieu of a shout out, could you just say guilty, guilty, guilty again? Because somehow that's still funny every time. So I think we owe him guilty.
Imagine, I mean,
that is
people that haven't listened to that coverage are going to be like, what the fuck?
Yes, that is a throwback to our pig court Watchmen coverage.
So if you want to understand that joke, go and watch all of Watchmen and listen to all of our podcasts on it.
Yeah. Watchmen watchers, fucking fantastic. Yes, thank you very much, mate. We appreciate the support.
Mate,
and
now,
I hope that guilty was good enough for you. I really do. Next up, we have Brittany, who says, "Hi guys, love the pod. Just to say, did you spot Neil Druckmann as one of the infected in last week's episode? I'm pretty sure it was him. Keep up the good work. 5 bloobs all round."
Why didn't you pick up on that, Len?
Well, listen.
Hack.
I thought it was Neil Druckmann.
Fuck
oh, yeah.
off.
I just didn't want to say anything at the time.
Listen. You're never going to believe me, right? But I'm telling you now. I was like, is that Neil Druckmann when I watched the episode? And then I was like, I can't be 100% sure, so I'm not going to say something unless I'm sure. And I couldn't
not
find
even
anything.
Attempt to look it up. He's just going to go.
I did look it up. I tried to look it up, but we did such a quick record last week, I couldn't confirm it. Okay, but yes, I think it was Brittany. So
yeah.
Anyway, look, it's a lot of work that goes into this. Jesus, man, I was going to do it, all right? So just fucking hell. Get off my back, guys. Anyway, that's all we have time for because we have run very long. Please do email us at fancriticalpodcast@gmail.com. Leave us a review. That would be amazing. Reviews are great. Help us in the old algorithms. Yeah, we love the algorithms, don't we? In a way, we hate the algorithms, but if you could leave us a review, it helps us in those times. So please do. iTunes, Spotify, whatever. Leave us a review wherever you listen. Notes to everything. Yeah, social channels, all that jazz. Email, Patreon is in the show notes. Just scroll down. If you literally click on it, it will take you to that page. Easy. One click. You can do it. I believe in you. And
How
that
many
is a wrap.
clicks?
Just one, Gareth. Just one. That's so easy in today's world. We're always trying to make the user journey as simple as possible. Yeah. Okay.
But look, I mean,
Can you make it
if
0
you have,
clicks and I'll
if
do
you've
it?
already subscribed, your job now is to, when you go to work or when you're talking to your friends and you're, you seen that Last of Us? And they say no, then you go, all right, well, watch The Last of Us and now listen to this podcast. That's your job. Spread
Damn
the
straight.
word, the gospel.
Spread the word, the gospel in a way, John. You're right. It is a gospel. And that was a fantastic episode of television. And I want to thank my fellow survivors, John
Thank you.
and Gareth, for being here to discuss what was an excellent, and if not one of the best episodes of TV we have seen in recent years. I agree with you, Gareth. It's up there for me as well. And John bloody loved it as well, which is lovely. 5 bloobs all round. Next week, we will be back covering episode 4 in our usual format, the hot take and the deep dive. Until then, remember, endure and survive.